Have you ever wondered what it's like to live in the saddle under the vast open skies of the American West? Our collective imagination has painted a picture of the cowboy as a symbol of freedom, an adventurous spirit riding across the plains, a beacon of the untamed frontier. Yet the origins of the cowboy are rooted in a less romantic but equally important aspect of American history. The cowboy, as we know him, emerged in the mid-19th century during the westward expansion of the United States. This was a time when the promise of prosperity and new beginnings lured many to the untapped resources of the West. The cowboy became a pivotal figure in this narrative, herding cattle across vast distances, braving the elements, and carving out a living in the harshest of conditions. Contrary to the popular image of the lone cowboy, these early cattle herders often worked in teams. They were a diverse group, comprised of Native Americans, African Americans, and immigrants from various parts of the world. This melting pot of cultures, all drawn to the American West, contributed to the unique cowboy culture that we celebrate today. But the cowboy's life was not all about thrilling rides and picturesque sunsets. It was a life of hard work, long hours, and constant danger. From the unpredictable nature of the cattle they herded to the ever-present risk of injury, the cowboy's existence was a testament to resilience and fortitude. Furthermore, the cowboy's life was often a solitary one, with long stretches of time spent in the company of cattle, separated from human companionship. So as we delve deeper into the life of a cowboy, we are compelled to question our romanticized image of this iconic figure. Was it a life of freedom and adventure, or was it a life of hardship and solitude? Was the cowboy a rugged individualist, or was he a part of a diverse and vibrant community? But is the life of a cowboy as glamorous and adventurous as it's often portrayed, or is there more to this story? As we journey further into the American West, we'll unravel the enigma that is the cowboy, exploring the nuances of his existence and the enduring legacy he has left behind. So imagine waking up before dawn with the smell of fresh hay and the sound of cattle lowing in the distance. The life of a cowboy starts long before the rest of the world stirs from slumber. This isn't a 9-to-5 job, it's a lifestyle, deeply ingrained in every fiber of their being. As the first light of day begins to peek over the horizon, the cowboy is already out, tending to his cattle. There's a sense of serenity in these early morning hours, a unique bond forming between man and beast. The cattle aren't just a source of income, they're a part of the cowboy's family, each with its own personality, each requiring care and attention. The work is physical, demanding, and often dangerous. A cowboy's hands are calloused and strong, hardened by years of roping, riding, and wrangling. He's a vet, a caretaker, a steward of the land. His work is dictated not by a clock, but by the needs of the land and the animals he tends to. But it's not all hard work and sweat. There's a beauty in this life too. The cowboy is a part of the landscape, a custodian of the vast expanses of land that stretch out as far as the eye can see. He watches over his herd, a solitary figure against the backdrop of the wild, untamed wilderness. There's a rhythm to this life, a pattern that's been followed for generations. Wake, work, rest, repeat. It's a life of simplicity, of purpose, of honest labor. It's hard, yes, but it's also rewarding in ways that can't be measured in dollars and cents. And when the day's work is done, when the cattle are fed and the last rays of sunlight have faded, the cowboy doesn't clock out. There's always more to be done. Fences to mend, equipment to repair, plans to be made for the next day. As the sun sets, the cowboy's day is far from over. But despite the long hours and the hard work, there's nowhere else he'd rather be. This is the life of a cowboy, a life of grit, of determination, of a love for the land and the creatures that inhabit it. A cowboy's life isn't all about the romantic sunset rides, it's also about the grit, the grind, and the danger. When we think of a cowboy, we often imagine a rugged individual atop his trusty steed, herding cattle under a wide-open sky. But beyond this romanticized image, there's a harsher reality that's seldom seen. The cowboy's life is one of constant challenges and risks. Every day, a cowboy faces the unpredictable. He might be thrown from his horse while trying to rope a stubborn steer, or he could get caught in a sudden hailstorm miles away from the nearest shelter. He might even find himself in the path of a stampede. These are not just occupational hazards, they're part of the everyday rhythm of life on the range. The weather, too, is a formidable adversary. In the winter, temperatures can plunge well below freezing, turning the open plains into a frigid, unforgiving landscape. In the summer, the scorching sun beats down relentlessly, and water is as precious as gold. Through it all, the cowboy must press on. There are no sick days on the frontier, and the cattle can't feed themselves. Then, there's the unpredictability of working with animals. Cattle are not machines, they have minds of their own, and sometimes those minds decide that they don't want to go where the cowboy wants them to go. A cowboy has to understand the animals, anticipate their actions, and react quickly when things don't go according to plan. And let's not forget the loneliness. Being a cowboy often means spending long stretches of time away from human company, with only the wind and the wildlife for conversation. It's a solitude that can be both liberating and oppressive. But despite the hardships, there's a certain allure to the cowboy's life. It's a life of self-reliance and freedom, of living close to the land and the elements. It's a life that requires strength, courage, and a whole lot of grit. Indeed, a cowboy's life is not for the faint of heart. Despite the hardship and danger, there's a certain code, a set of values that keeps the cowboy going. Now, what is this code, you ask? It's an unspoken set of principles as vast as the open range and as clear as the desert sky. It's about respect for nature, the understanding that the land is not merely a resource, but a partner in the grand dance of life. The cowboy knows that he doesn't own the land. He is simply its steward, protecting and nurturing it, just as it nurtures him. Hard work is another key element. The cowboy's life is not one of leisure. From dawn till dusk, he toils under the sun, caring for his cattle, maintaining his ranch. But he doesn't see this as a burden. Rather, it's a source of pride, a testament to his perseverance and dedication. Then comes honesty. The cowboy lives a transparent life, his actions open for all to see. There's no room for deceit on the open range. His word is his bond, as solid as the sturdy oak that stands sentinel on the prairie. Self-reliance is the cornerstone of the cowboy's code. Out on the range, there's no one to depend on but oneself. The cowboy must be his own cook, his own doctor, his own mechanic. He must be able to mend a fence, deliver a calf, and fix a broken wagon wheel. This independence shapes him, strengthens him, and ultimately defines him. But the cowboy's code is not just about survival. It's about living with honor, with integrity. It's about treating others with kindness and respect, regardless of who they are or where they come from. It's about standing up for what's right, even if it means standing alone. In essence, the cowboy's code is a way of life, a philosophy that transcends the individual and speaks to a deeper, universal truth. It's about being in harmony with nature, being true to oneself, and being a force for good in the world. These values, deeply rooted in the cowboy's character, are what make them unique and respected. So, what does it truly mean to be a cowboy? It's a question that invites a myriad of answers, each one as diverse and complex as the individuals who don the iconic hat and boots. At its core, the life of a cowboy is a dance between the romanticized image we've come to know from Hollywood and the harsh reality of day-to-day living. You see, the cowboy is not merely a character from a John Wayne film. No, he's a real, living, breathing testament to the spirit of the American West. He's a champion of values that are as timeless as the prairies he roams. Values like honesty, integrity, hard work, and respect for the land and its creatures. But while the cowboy's life may be steeped in romance and lore, it's far from glamorous. Each day, he's up before the sun, ready to face whatever challenges the day might bring. It's a life of sweat and dust, of hard work and harder decisions. It's a life where danger is part and parcel of the daily routine, where every ride could be your last. Yet, beneath the tough exterior lies a heart that beats to the rhythm of the open range. The cowboy's dedication to his craft is unwavering, his commitment to the land and his livestock, unyielding. For him, this isn't merely a job, it's a calling. It's a life that demands sacrifice, but in return, it offers a freedom and connection to the natural world that few other occupations can provide. It's about understanding that the cowboy's life is one of balance. It's about acknowledging the hard truths while still cherishing the beauty and the freedom. It's about recognizing the grit that's required, and yet never losing sight of the passion that fuels the journey. Being a cowboy is about embracing the freedom and beauty of the West, while also facing its challenges with grit and resilience. It's a life not for everyone, but for those who choose it. It's not just a job, it's a way of life.